Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Political Junkies. I'm MAGA Jesse.
And I'm William Beck. We've got a great show for you today, and we're a couple days behind on this, but Vivek Ramaswamy, did I get that right?
I think you got that right. It's a tough one to pronounce. Ramaswamy, not something that you can fit on a bumper sticker.
Tell me how you pronounced it earlier.
You know, I say Vivek. You know, there's Vivek, Vivek. There's all kinds of ways that people are saying it. I'm not exactly sure what the right way to pronounce it is, but Vivek is the easiest for me to say.
Right. Well, regardless, this man just announced his run for president, and I was expecting, when I first heard about this guy, I'm like, oh, he's a nobody. Mm-hmm. But he's gotten a lot of media coverage. CNN, Politico, Axios. All these publications are propping him up, and he even announced his race on Tucker Carlson. I think it's his daily show.
Yeah.
So we're going to break that down for you today. We're also going to be talking about the trajectory for the 2024 presidential race and how Trump may run into some problems if he has to sign a loyalty pledge.
Right, absolutely. And it's very interesting to see what is going on in the 2024 GOP primary. Obviously, we know it could end up being a lot of people who decide to challenge Trump in this primary. And the first two people to do it are Indian Americans, something that we don't see very much of, but both of them are deciding to get into this race for their own reasons, and both of them are choosing not to attack Trump. Both Nikki Haley, a.k.a. Nimrata, that's her real name. She likes to go by Nikki. And Vivek, maybe he needs a nickname too, because Vivek Ramaswamy is not exactly the name to go by.
I like Neocon Nikki better than Nimrata Nikki, to be honest. Because,
Neocon Nimrata.
Well, let's dive into this. You mentioned they're both Indian Americans. So Vivek was on Fox Business recently, and the host kind of asked him, he's like, so both you and Nikki Haley are Indian Americans. How do you feel about that? Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't really care.
Well, that's good that he doesn't fall into the identity politics. That's
right,
a good thing.
He swears off identity politics, yet his biggest issues are ESG, affirmative action, and also
critical race theory.
Well, critical race theory.
Yep.
He's also big on climate change, ending the climate religion, and kind of creating this America First 2.0 attitude, which really resonates with me, actually. His platform looks great so far. If you look at his website, it's very bare bones, but it kind of talks about the work that he's done. I believe that he was a venture capitalist. Am I right on that? So kind of similar to what J.D. Vance has done. He also comes from Ohio, coincidentally, speaking of J.D. Vance. But he's written a couple books. One of them, you know what, I don't think, oh, here it is. So Woke Inc., Inside Corporate America's Social Justice Scam, and Nation of Victims, Identity Politics, The Death of Merit, and The Path Back to Excellence. I have not read or heard of any of these books before he announced his presidential. Have you read any of these?
I haven't read any of those books. I hadn't heard of this guy before he decided to run, and obviously he is deciding to run because he wants some more national attention. I can't imagine this guy is going to light the world on fire. All of a sudden we're going to see him picking up steam. I don't think so. This guy is probably looking to benefit himself, looking to run for that Ohio U.S. Senate seat against Sherrod Brown. William and we discovered that he was a potential candidate for that seat up until he decided to run for president. And in this campaign, he has chosen not to attack Donald Trump so far, and he hasn't made any real issues that are going to distinguish himself other than his identity.
I disagree with that a little bit. I agree with the theory he's probably going to springboard into a Senate race, but I think that his distinguishing issues are that he's attacking ESG, critical race theory, this climate ideology that's rotting the minds of liberals across the nation. I view him as the right's version of Andrew Yang. He's trying to get his main issues to the forefront on the debate stage.
Right, and that's a comparison that a lot of people are making because he's an outsider, because he's someone who's not of the political class, but ultimately Andrew Yang caved to pressure. Vivek, we'll see what he ends up becoming out of this whole thing. I think that, like I said, he's not going to attack Trump. If he does, he can kiss that U.S. Senate seat away because there is no way that he can attack Trump and maintain a chance at winning that seat.
Yet somehow Trump endorses all of his worst opponents, J.D. Vance, Mehmet Oz, both big. I think Blake Masters probably wasn't a Trump guy back in the day, yet he endorsed all of them.
But J.D.
Two
Vance,
out of those three lost. I like Blake Masters a lot, actually. The other two are kind of meh.
right, and J.D. Vance, we had spoken before about Hillbilly Elegy, his book and thing that was turned into a movie. And he was very anti-Trump in the beginning. In 2015 and 2016, he was skeptical of Donald Trump, wasn't sure if he was going to actually make America great again like he promised, and he worried that he might have been a sketchy businessman. But
I think you were pretty sketched out by Trump
a lot of people
too.
were in 2015, 2016. People didn't know what to make of him. But
like any
J.D.
good
Vance,
Republican, I supported the Republican nominee. I'm sure you did as well, right?
Yep, and J.D. Vance, he now supports Donald Trump in this 2024 campaign. So J.D. Vance has made a complete turnaround to supporting Donald Trump. I think it's interesting how things work out, and Donald Trump obviously proved himself to fit J.D. Vance's standards.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just another contender in the 2024 presidential race. Obviously, we're expecting a pretty wide field, including Tim Scott, U.S. Senator from South Carolina. We're expecting John Bolton. He's not a perennial candidate at this point, but he keeps saying that he's going to get involved.
Right, and I don't think he is actually going to run. John Bolton is going to sell another book. That's all that John Bolton does. He is doing this to hype up his attention. He's trying to get on the media, and then what is he going to do? Boom, another book deal. And that's how he makes his living. He makes his living by stirring the pot, and then once he stirs the pot, he writes his book and gets it out there. Yeah. It's a strategy. It's a way to make money. It's too bad that John Bolton is just the worst individual in the world.
I don't know. I'd say Liz Cheney is probably high up there.
She's up there.
Another contender for president, by the way. And then we also have Larry Hogan of Maryland, just to top off the rhino list of people running. It's really what a lot of this primary field is going to be. It's going to be rhinos running against Donald Trump. Now we have Ron DeSantis, who is a conservative crusader in Florida, as you can see. I'm liking him a lot right now. And if he does run, I'll probably throw my hat behind him, physical hat and proverbial hat as well. So we'll see what happens. We got the first debate coming up in August of this year. And I wasn't able to find a date specifically, so I don't know.
Right, and the date is still being set. It looks like they're still deciding who is going to be hosting the debate. It looks like it's going to take place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is an interesting place to hold the first debate. That might also end up being where they hold the 2024 National Convention, which is interesting. But like you said, these debates are going to be underway very soon.
Yep.
Donald J. Trump, he probably is not going to debate unless there is a real credible challenge like a Ron DeSantis. If Ron DeSantis is in there, I think that forces Trump to have to do the debate. But if it's just Nikki
very
Haley,
scared of Ron DeSantis.
Oh,
like
I don't
every
think
other
so.
every other truth from him is attacking Ron DeSantis, which is a little obsessive if you're asking me.
But
the guy hasn't
if
even announced
anything-
he's running yet, and he hasn't punched back once, which
Right,
says a lot
exactly.
about his character. Not that character is that important in
yeah.
politics, but geez, Trump,
Oh, boy.
you're going off the deep end here. I love you. I still love you. But, man, you need to get your act together. And I'd like to see more of what he did in East Palestine, because that was a rare good moment from Trump these days.
If anybody is afraid, I would think it's the guy who is afraid to punch back. It's Ron DeSantis. He's afraid to go after Donald Trump.
It's called being an adult.
Oh, it's called being an adult, even though he's going after Joe Biden all the time. Does he realize he has to beat Donald Trump in a primary first, and then he has to still try to win people like me back over?
He's got his eyes on the prize. He knows that he's going to be the nominee.
Oh, yeah, right. That's why he's not polling as well. But, what's going to happen with these debates, like I'm saying, I think it would only require someone like Ron DeSantis entering for Donald Trump to find the debates to be worthwhile.
Right.
But I think the RNC, the Republican National Committee, is doing an incredible disservice to us as voters, as conservatives. I think they're doing a disservice to us by the way that they're holding these debates. It reminds me so much of how the Democrats handled this in the last presidential election in 2020. They made all of these unfair rules for the debates, picking and choosing who gets to be in there. They want to definitely go out there. The RNC, they're anti-Trump. These people are as establishment as it gets in many cases.
You're not seriously implying that they're going to somehow bar Trump from the debate, right?
What their requirement is they say if you participate in any event not sanctioned by the Republican Party, or if you miss a debate or anything like that, you're not allowed in anymore. So these are the types of rules that are making it harder for these candidates. They want to hamper Trump. They want to force Trump to attend a bunch of nonsense. It doesn't make any sense for Trump to do that. I understand that we need to run a fair primary, and I'm completely open, to a fair primary. Fair is the only way that we can do this thing, but the way that the Republican National Committee has been setting things up, it leaves me very skeptical.
What's the rationale behind this idea that they can't participate in extra RNC sanctioned or non-RNC sanctioned
right,
debates?
The RNC just wants the control, and the RNC.
I think it's more that they don't want. I think they're more worried about the left wing of the party, right, going off and doing things with CNN and MSNBC.
Oh, I wish that was the case, but who is the party dealing with? Who is the GOP going to have these conversations with? CNN. They're asking CNN, would you like to host a debate for us? Would you like to hold? It's 100% true.
Really?
The Republican National Committee and all of these other people were going to New York City to speak with CNN to see if they wanted to do a debate. So CNN, the biggest fake news in our country, the one that has lied about us nonstop, the one who goes after the people, who goes against every single Republican, any little idea that we have, they're against us on every single thing. They're the people that say mostly peaceful protests, mostly peaceful fires. The CNN is the biggest fake news, and that's who the Republican National Committee is still dealing with. It shows how out of touch they are with we the people.
Well, if that's true, that's very sad.
Right.
Did you want to talk about this this pledge?
Right.
For
and
debates?
Another big issue I'm having with the Republican National Committee, they are requiring Republican candidates to sign a pledge of loyalty that they will support the Republican nominee no matter what. And they did the exact same thing in 2016 where they said, you need to sign this pledge. You need to get behind it. We even have a video, we can play it, that shows Donald Trump standing on stage refusing to sign the pledge. We can go ahead and play that now.
We know how much you love hand-raising questions. So we promise this is the only one tonight, the only one. Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump. So, Mr. Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary debate.
I fully understand.
The place where the RNC will give the nominee the nod.
I fully understand.
And that experts say an independent run would almost certainly hand the race over to Democrats and likely another Clinton. You can't say tonight that you can make that pledge.
I cannot say. I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win, and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of leverage. We want to win, and we will win. But I want to win as the Republican. I want to run as the Republican nominee.
Okay. Well, I didn't know we had a video planned. So if you want
to... Well, exactly. What's very interesting about that video right there, Donald J. Trump, he stood there on stage. They said, raise your hand if you are willing to run a third-party campaign and not support the Republican nominee, no matter what. Donald Trump was the only one with some balls.
So you're saying that you would be okay with Trump running a third-party campaign for president?
100%. It is Trump or bust. If we don't get Trump, we don't get our country back. These are the rules of negotiation. You don't give anybody anything. And just like 2016, Trump will do the same thing. If he doesn't think that he had a fair primary, if he thinks the RNC is rigging things to a point where he cannot become the nominee, he's going to have no choice but to run as an independent. So it's better for everybody just to not let that happen and allow Donald Trump.
You heard it here first. Jesse Smith is a Joe Biden supporter because all this does is split the vote and allow for Joe Biden to become the nominee. This is what happened in 1992 when Ross Perot, Bill Clinton, and George H.W. Bush ran. Perot and Bush split the conservative vote, giving Bill Clinton the victory, breaking a really decades-long conservative push in the nation. Now we're in even a worse spot than we were back then. And do you want to divide the Republican votes when Republicans are already having a hard enough time getting votes?
Well, I'll tell you what. There were plenty of people who ran against Trump in 2016, Jeb Bush, George Pataki, several other individuals.
You wrote those down and then talked about them right away.
Absolutely, because that's who I'm thinking of, because these are the individuals who said, oh yeah, I'm going to support the Republican nominee, I'm going to sign this loyalty pledge, and then when the time came to support Trump, they didn't do it. So guess what? The rhinos don't follow the rules. At least Trump has the guts to say that I will run as an independent if things aren't fair.
I don't agree with that, but shame on them for not supporting Trump.
Shame on you for, first of all, saying that I'm a Joe Biden guy. In what world? Nobody ever believes that. I got a Donald Trump hat right in front of me, and you want to sit here and say I'm a Joe Biden guy. There's not a single person in the world who believes that. What I want is Donald Trump. And what that means is I'm not going to allow Ron DeSantis to be the nominee. And if Ron DeSantis is the nominee, I'm still voting for Trump.
You're done?
I'm ready to go.
Okay,
Let's go.
Right. You may not be directly a Joe Biden supporter. Maybe that was unfair, but you are supporting his re-election effort.
Wrong.
So you think that Trump can win a third-party battle? No. I'm talking. I'm talking. You're done. I'm talking right now.
And here we go.
You're saying that Trump stands a chance in a third-party bid for president. He can get 270 electoral votes to become the 47th president of the United States. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying
right
Ron
now?
DeSantis better get out of the way.
No. Answer my question.
Answer
my question.
I'm saying that it's
yes
who
or
I'm
no.
voting
It's a
for.
yes or no question.
It's who I'm voting for.
I had a yes or no question.
And I don't care. I have principles. It doesn't matter to me if someone's going to win or not. I care about truth.
All right.
So you might like winning. I'm not willing to give a rhino the win. I'd rather vote for Trump and lose.
DeSantis isn't a rhino. And hey, if someone better comes along, then I'll support them if they're more conservative and they have the ability to win. If Donald Trump ends up being the nominee, I'm not going to throw a temper tantrum because I actually like the guy. I'm willing to support him because I want to beat Joe Biden. I want conservative America First principles back in the White House.
And I'll tell you what, we either all win with Trump or we all lose.
Why?
Those are the terms.
Why?
Because that's what I'm telling you, that I'm not going to support any
okay.
GOP nominee besides Donald Trump, and there's lots of people like me.
All right.
Ron DeSantis cannot win if he's the Republican nominee, especially if Trump ran against him. And even if Trump didn't run against him, I can tell you there's plenty of people like me who are going to say, I will withhold my support.
Well, we will continue this discussion another day. I want to talk about the Iowa straw poll real quick before we sign off. That's coming up this summer at the Iowa State Fair. It's the first caucus for Republicans in the country, in Iowa. So how do we think Trump's going to do? Trump didn't come in first in 2016, the Iowa straw poll.
And that was only because, Ted Cruz cheated in Iowa. That was part of the reason that Trump didn't initially win Iowa in 2016. Because Ted Cruz was putting out phone calls.
Ben Carson.
Right. He was making all these phone calls saying Ben Carson dropped out of the race. Ted Cruz is a snake. I don't trust Ted Cruz. And that's why Donald Trump lost that initial primary. It's because Ted Cruz is a cheater. Right, the caucus. So we'll see what ends up happening. I think that Trump already has a majority of the support of the Republican Party. I would say over 50%. Things are looking good in Iowa. I expect that he is going to be the outright winner.
Yeah, I think Trump probably will come in first in that Iowa straw poll and probably even in the caucuses. It just really depends on how many other people get involved in this presidential race because, again, we talked about this last time. You have New Hampshire on deck for the first presidential primary, but the second presidential contest in the nation for Republicans. If Chris Sununu gets involved, he's a very popular Republican in New Hampshire. That could throw things out of whack.
Right.
Then you also have South Carolina coming in third, where Nikki Haley and potentially Tim Scott run. Now, if both Nikki Haley and Tim Scott run, they'll split the vote. I'm sure Trump will easily get it. It's a pretty conservative state.
The more people in the race, the better for Trump.
Right, exactly. And that's what I fear Vivek is doing here. It sure seems like he's just trying to steal support from, I don't want to say the anti-Trump people, because there aren't a lot of Republicans, or at least true Republicans, who are anti-Trump. I'm certainly not. I think Trump was the best president of my lifetime. I'm just ready to move on because I think we have other places to go as a Republican Party. I think someone like Vivek makes it more and more difficult to do so because, again, he's just taking. I'm not suggesting that person be Nikki Haley. God no. If it was down to Neocon Nikki and Donald Trump, I'd support Donald Trump.
Of course.
I'd get a
You'd
Trump
have no
hat
choice,
on the
right?
desk. I would have a choice, but I would choose to go with Donald Trump because I like the more conservative candidate, and in this case, he's more conservative. If it's between Trump and DeSantis.
Right, and we still have lots of issues to figure out with Vivek. We're going to see, and especially how long he sticks around this campaign, if he can fundraise, if he can actually mount a real campaign, because as of now, he's done a couple of interviews. We've seen him on some mainstream media, but that doesn't present a real campaign. When he's got his supporters behind him, it's usually about 5 to 10 people. So if he wants to get some momentum, he's got to do it quick.
Right. He's campaigning in Iowa and New Hampshire currently. If you go to his campaign page, I think it's Vivek2024.com. You'll see that it's pretty bare bones. It gives a biography, an opportunity to contact, and an opportunity to donate.
Right,
so,
and a lot of videos of him. A lot of different interviews and speeches and whatnot.
Which is great, but I need to know more about this guy. Vivek, if you're watching this, man, get some stuff up about yourself. You can't, I hope you're not holding something back from us.
Yeah.
About where
I
you
will
stand
use
on
it
the
against
issues.
you.
Yeah. Well, Jesse doesn't hold the punches. He'll run a third-party campaign against you. We'll say that. So
we'll do whatever we need to win.
Yeah, winning. So that's all we have for you guys today. We have a lot of great shows planned out for you in the coming days and weeks. We're going to keep you updated with the best 2024 election coverage that we can. We're also going to be talking about some state races and maybe even some city races. I know
Absolutely.
You want to talk about the Chicago mayoral election, which is coming up here. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you for watching.